Hello, everyone. My name is Jill Felicio, and I'm the Director of Advancement here at Harvard's Division of Continuing Education and a member of Harvard Extension School's classes of 2000 and 2013. Now, on behalf of the Harvard Extension Alumni Association, it is my honor and privilege to welcome you to DCE Serves Global Impact. I am personally entering my 23rd year of working in the nonprofit sector in both higher education and in environmental advocacy. Now, the highlight of my tenure here at DCE has been serving you, our talented community, and working with this board of directors to learn about the many ways that you are quite literally changing the world. Now, it is estimated that nearly 40% of the alumni community of Harvard has gone on to lead in the nonprofit sector. Now, today, we will meet 3 members of the Harvard Extension Alumni Association Board of Directors who are working to find creative solutions to our world's most profound challenges. We will meet Sunita Mittal Agarwal ALM 13, who's an advocate for disability access based in India and the marketing director of the Harvard Extension Alumni Association. We'll meet Connie Askin, ALB 93, CEO of Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Central Massachusetts, and our development director. And Santiago Creuheras ALM 2000 and ALM 2001, who is a sustainability expert based in Mexico and the elected director of the Harvard Alumni Association's Board of Directors representing DCE. Now, Evan Bernstein, who is expected to join us, unfortunately had an emergency and cannot be with us today. But if you have questions directly for Evan, please do share it with us today, and we will make sure that he gets those. Now, we are so excited to learn about your passions, your challenges, your collaborations, and hopes for the future. Now, before we get underway, though, I just want to mention a few housekeeping notes. Please, all of you in the audience, use the chat box to say hello, reflect, tell us about your own advocacy work, and ask us questions throughout the hour. Now, we've set aside time in the hour for a Q&A with our panelists, but after that, we would love to invite you to share your advocacy work with us live and in our recording with your camera on if you wish at that time. So now let's get right to it, and I'd love to introduce our panelists and give them a moment to actually share with us a bit about themselves. So I'll start with Sunita. Welcome, Sunita.
Thank you, Jill. Hi, everyone. I'm Sunita Mittal Agarwal, and I live in India. I'm ALM 13, and post-graduation, I moved back to India, and I've been working for India.
Excellent. Connie.
And I'm muted. Okay, let's try that again. Hi, I'm Connie Askin, ALM 93 and fundraising chair for the HEAA board. I am local, as Jill mentioned. I'm the CEO of Big Brothers, Big Sisters, which is a national organization. I'm the CEO of the Central Mass chapter. And we are celebrating our 60th year.
Excellent. And Santiago, your turn.
Hello, everyone. I'm Santiago Creuheras. I have the honor to be an HEAA elected director, probably the first elected director from the Extension School. So I'm really happy to have the honor to represent this school. One of the reasons that I learned when I was at the Extension School is to give back to the community. And it's something that is in my heart, and I've been trying to do that since I graduated. I'm an ALM 2000, ALM 2001 with concentration in a graduate certificate in special studies in management that was converted into another ALM later. So if that was the case, at the time I would have 3 ALMs that I'd be proud to have another one, and probably I will get another one in the future. I've been involved in sustainability matters and energy transitions for many years, and I have also been involved in many initiatives related to race, social justice, inclusion, and diversity. And it's a great pleasure to be with you and this great array of panelists. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Amazing. Thank you. And shout out to you for being our very first elected director of the Harvard Alumni Association board. It was really exciting, and our community came out in droves to vote for you. And Harvard Forward endorsed your candidacy, and it was just such a spectacular thing. So thank you for all of that work that you do on that board that we might dig into later. But essentially, I'd love to get things started going back to you, Sunita. Can you just share how you got involved in advocating for disability access in India, and share a bit of your history, your time? Was it pre-Harvard or was it after Harvard?
Okay. Hello, everyone. My experience at Harvard Extension changed my life. Harvard encouraged me to think bigger, be bold, and give me the confidence to lead change at a macro level. It all began while walking in the rain in New York. Feeling grumpy, and at the red light was a person with disability on a wheelchair, laughing while raindrops were falling on him. It left an impact on me. Later, in India, with a broken leg, I realized just how difficult it was to go anywhere. And it sunk in. I never saw anyone in wheelchairs moving around in India. Post-graduation, I returned to India and became involved in the Ministry of Social Justice's Accessible India campaign. It was a difficult uphill task, getting people to change as they believed, let the status quo be the status quo. Finally, Yashovardhan and I created Ease and Access app. A free Android app, Ease and Access empowered 28.3 million persons with disability by providing them accessibility information based on 12 parameters, like dedicated parking, clear route to the entrance, wide entrances, if stairs, then availability of ramps, smooth corridors, if internal stairs, and availability of lifts, accessible toilets, etc. in public spaces. For data, we personally surveyed public sites. Eventually, we added data from the central government on 1,500 additional sites pan-India. In 2014, apps were fairly new, and Ease and Access didn't take off. We did a lot of direct marketing. I emailed 616 special institutions, distributed thousands of brochures, researched and published our manuscript on assistive technology in Taylor and Francis, London. Mainly, awarenesses increased and attitudes started changing, which resulted in the Rights of Persons with Disability Act in 2016 in India. And now I do see changes. There are ramps, public spaces are becoming. And I would like to thank HEAA for service to others. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If anyone of our panelists, if you want to chime in at any point, please feel free to do so. But essentially, Connie, I'd love to dig into that same question for you. You and I were overlapping alums who were here in the 90s. Shout out to those of us who go way, way back. Can you kind of touch on how your journey in advocacy kind of evolved through that time when you were at Harvard, or did it begin before or after?
Well, in a way, it did begin at Harvard because it was immediately after I was at Harvard that I started an entrepreneurial venture. And I feel like my work in the nonprofit space has been very entrepreneurial. So I moved into the nonprofit field many years later. After 9/11, I had been an executive at a large insurance company and a new mom, and I was laid off. I stumbled upon a posting for a CFO role for AFS, it's American Field Service, which is an international student exchange organization. And I had been an AFS student when I was in high school. I lived a year in Portugal. So it just felt like a really nice fit. As I talked to them a little bit more about what the job was all about, I just became more and more excited. I learned that the mission of AFS is to make the world a more just and peaceful place. And that really became my why. And so throughout my career, I feel like what I've done, whether it's education, most of the work I've done has involved experiential learning with youth. And really, my career has been about the business of nonprofits. And so after AFS, I was then the CFO of the Statue of Liberty Ellis Island Foundation. When I moved back to Massachusetts, I took on fundraising. And so when some of my college business school colleagues have talked to me about what life is like at the nonprofit world, they often have the impression that it's soft and fuzzy work. It is meaningful work, but it's hard work. And as a two-time entrepreneur, I can tell you it requires all of the creativity and execution as any for-profit I've worked in.
Ditto. I agree. Couldn't agree more. That's amazing. And I just assume Harvard prepared you well on that journey. Santiago, can I ask you, I know that you've had a long life of service, not only, kind of within your area in Mexico and in Latin America and sustainability in general and helping address climate change, but you've also had a number of years of service at Harvard related to, work in the Harvard Club of Mexico. Can you talk about how Harvard impacted your life's work?
Of course. Thank you. Thank you again, Jill. And as you have just said, Harvard did really impact my life and my work, and I've had the privilege to serve in different positions. I should say, when I was writing my ALM thesis, one of my ALM theses at the time, and having taken courses with professors like Arnold Howitt on organizational change and public management, and a history course on race and race relations since Plessy, I started thinking of how important it was to develop social justice at Harvard and outside Harvard. And I guess that at the time I had the opportunity to become involved with the David Rockefeller Center for Latin American Studies that had just been founded at the time, and it was really open for new initiatives. Before I came to Harvard, I had the opportunity to become an intern in different places, which is not something very popular for someone from abroad. And I thought that it would be really exciting for Harvard students, for Harvard graduate students, to also have that same opportunity that I had in the United States, to also have it abroad. So we created an internship program at David Rockefeller Center for Latin American Studies that David Rockefeller funded, and it's still live. I was the first internship program director, and we managed to send over 100 students to different parts of Latin America that had, and these students had the opportunity to learn from different areas, from different fields. And I would like to share that one of the students was assigned to become an intern at one of the greatest and most important newspapers in Mexico at the time. He interviewed the Secretary of State and he wrote his first front page. So that was a very exciting opportunity for him and for us and for the program itself. And it was obviously open to students from the Extension School, from the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, from Harvard College, and all of the schools at Harvard. So anyways, after that, I went back to Mexico. I started becoming involved with the Harvard Club of Mexico. As you can see, I decided to use a picture from yesterday's event because today we're talking about advocacy. And one of the greatest professors that Harvard has today and has had for over maybe 50-something years is Marshall Ganz. Marshall Ganz is an expert in organizing, an expert in public narrative. I had the opportunity to take a course with him at the time. He's not only a professor, but a very important activist who has supported many of the initiatives against vulnerable causes. And a friend and I, whom I met at Harvard, of course, whose name is Carlos Quintero, started developing an initiative to sort of have Marshall Gann's legacy translated into Spanish. So this week we have Marshall Gann's here in Mexico presenting a new book, Si se puede, Yes We Can. Some of you know Marshall Gans was very well involved in Obama's campaign at the time, and he developed some of the narrative for that campaign. And now we want, for those who do not have the opportunity to go to Harvard as we did, to have access to his legacy, to have access to the tools that he has developed and created. And this is an initiative that we have started, but I'm sure that in the future, Sunita will help me to have this book translated into Indian language. And obviously, you know, we will be able to do more things with the alumni community who are joining us this morning. And anyways, for Connie and the people that she supports, the legacy that Marshall has to offer it's available in English, but I'm sure that she also has impact in the international community, and she will also be able to use it as well.
So Santiago, I love the way that you framed that, because this, I think, is an underscore in the nonprofit community, that even though it appears that we are all very different from each other, there are pieces from each of us that we can use and leverage in our own work. And I think that that's that's something that I did also take away from Harvard, right? How to think differently, how to make connections that aren't necessarily obvious, but to find the nuance of those relationships and grow them.
Yeah, and as you said, Connie, there are many things in common, and something that I would like our audience to keep in mind, which is something I learned from Marshall many years ago. And I think it's really common among us, and something we can share, something we can keep, is that we have to use our brains, and Harvard, I'm sure, has been very, very strong and has made us work very hard in using our brains. But we should not forget that we also need to use our hands, right? We need to use our hands to make sure that things happen. But we must never forget that we should use our heart. And I think that's the most important thing, because that's what is going to make sure that things move forward, that we make progress on what we want to do, and that we can really have an impact on what we are doing.
Santiago, I would like to offer any help possible to help out in translating the book in Indian languages. I look forward to the connect.
Well,
Thank you.
That is just beautiful. I mean, I've heard so much about, motive and just heart. I mean, essentially getting back to Connie's, like, what is your why? Using your heart. I mean, honestly, I think that there's this common thread among our community of just this Harvard bond. I think that was created through, the fruits of hard labor and sacrifice, and getting through these degrees while like doing literally everything. I think that that's something that is uniquely bonding in a community, and something, that creates and engenders a lot of trust and a lot of understanding. So leveraging connections, I think is like Connie said, using your imagination to leverage connections. I think that Harvard kind of, it provides this framework for connections and for support. Now, Sunita, I know that you have a lot of relationships within India, Harvard-wide. Can you speak just for a moment about the Harvard Club of India and the work that you've done there regionally?
Yes, so when I returned back, I got elected treasurer of Harvard Club of India. And for the first time, we had elections in the Harvard Club of India. And it was a steep learning curve. We raised a lot of money, and we had events. After that post, I became the secretary of Harvard Club of India. That was also another interactive, like I have served Harvard as a secretary, and that is a lot of work, being the secretary and as how Jill and the Office of Advancement would know. And it was a lovely thing. And presently now I'm the elected Director of Marketing at HEAA. So in every way form that I serve Harvard, I enjoy myself. Everything is learning and evolving and moving and trying to help. And that is just basically service.
Absolutely. And I know the secretary of the Harvard Extension Alumni Association is with us today, and he would agree that it's a lot of work. So thank you for that, Rick Pearl. But Sunita, thank you. That's just lovely. I mean, the Harvard Club framework is global. I mean, we are as alumni in over 180 countries around the world. So we have, endeavored to create community within the Harvard Extension Alumni Association in regional chapters and rooting efforts throughout the world. And Harvard clubs are really an invaluable way to get to understand, the Harvard community and how the Harvard community can coalesce to create change in your region. So Santiago, you have a lot of work, I think, in the Harvard world in advocacy. Can you share just a little bit of insights into working with Harvard Forward, into working with the HEAA initiative for climate change and any of the work that you've done there? Can you kind of give an inside baseball look at that?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Because it seems to be that my computer has frozen. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Your image is frozen, but perhaps it's just a moment.
Okay. Well, if the audio works, that's great. One of the things that I have had the opportunity to support is the development of a new shared interest group that has become really active, which is the Harvard Alumni for Climate and the Environment. And as many of you know, Harvard Extension School is the school that started having a graduate program related to sustainability matters. So it's really exciting that many of the members, the over 2,000 members we have among this shared interest group are from the Extension School. And it's something that I know that many of us, we have in our hearts. We want to make sure Harvard it's a sustainable place. We want some opportunities as alumni that promote sustainability and climate change. And HEAA has helped us develop these among our communities. We developed a boot camp that was offered twice already and has given the opportunity for alumni that have just graduated, for alumni who graduated 20, 30, even 50 years ago to join our community, to come back to Harvard. They have been away from Harvard for many years. They have had wonderful professional lives, and many of them have already retired and have decided to come back and support this initiative, to share their experience, to share what they have done in the past in order to promote sustainability at all levels among their communities and so on and so forth. I have to share that a few weeks ago, President Bacow announced the creation of Sustainability and Climate Change Center that has been supported by a gentleman who happens not to be a Harvard alumnus, but who has believed in Harvard. And Harvard will have a center, or has a center already, that will be focusing on academic life related to sustainability, developing many initiatives related to climate change, and bringing all of the students and alumni community together in order.
The connection failed. Okay, as will happen in a live Zoom event. It's okay. While we wait for him to kind of come back on, I just want to pick up a little bit where I left off and just mention that the sustainability program at Harvard Extension is really leading the way at Harvard in sustainability, and it's run by one of our alums, Lindy von Medius. And just recently, like in the last 2 weeks, there was a wonderful panel event hosted by Lindy and by Dean Coleman related to the future of climate change and a report that they contributed to on behalf of Harvard. So we will post the link for that in chat, but if you haven't seen it, I really urge you to go back and watch that. It's available on Harvard Extension School's YouTube channel. And we do have a very mobilized and actionable sustainability community here in our alumni world and the student population. So if that is you, chat, tell us about it. But getting back, Connie, if we could dig in just to a little bit more in what you're doing now with Big Sisters and Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Can you talk a little bit about
Sure.
kind of addressing poverty in children or underserved population? Is that your why? And can you talk a little bit about, kind of serving that community now and any challenges therein?
Yes, so we do know that the single most critical factor in whether or not a child grows up successfully, regardless of their circumstance, is whether or not they have a strong, positive, consistent, caring adult role model in their lives. We do have most of our students served in Central Mass. There are 87 towns and cities in Central Mass. About 74% of our littles, which are the children we serve, are in poverty. Many have a single parent household. Sometimes it is a parent who's in the military. Sometimes it's a parent or a close family member who's incarcerated. There are lots of reasons that children need a caring adult person who can help them. And really, at the basis, these are just kids, right? They're funny, they're curious, they're noisy, they're quiet, whatever. They're just children. And we support those children to unlock their potential. Statistically, we also know that mentoring is the one way to overcome many negative, adverse circumstances. And so we pair adults and support those matches throughout their time. Typically, our matches last about a year. We support children who are between the ages of 8 and 25. And we know that on the other side, the bigs, the adult mentors, that they usually sign up because they either had at least one mentor in their lives and want to pay it forward, or because they now recognize that they would have benefited themselves and so are doing what they can to make the world a better place. And Santiago's back.
Amazing. Yeah, welcome back, Santiago.
Sorry, I was even talking to myself until I realized that I was not there anymore. So I don't even know what's the last thing you heard from me. But happy to be back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, I chimed in, that our sustainability community is amazing. And Lindy von Medius hosted a wonderful event a couple of weeks ago that we're going to share. We will share that link momentarily. But Santiago, you got cut off when you were talking about the advocacy work that's happening at the HEAA with a new shared interest group. It's another kind of way to coalesce. Is there anything you want to add about that before?
Well, I don't know if you heard that this group, Harvard Alumni for Climate and the Environment, is one of the shared interest groups that has been growing a lot for the past 2 years. We have over 2,000 members. And many of these members are from the Extension School. As you all know, the Extension School offers the sustainability program, the graduate program that Harvard has within this field of concentration within this area. I think there are graduate certificates as well related to that for those of you that do not want to move forward with a master's program. But anyways, it's a great program, a great opportunity, and I don't know if it was heard that I mentioned that President Bacau announced the creation of a center for sustainability and climate change. So somebody decided to give Harvard over $200 million for the creation and founding of this center, and I'm sure this center will give us the opportunity to bring together students, to bring together academics, to bring together entrepreneurs, to bring together alumni with different endeavors related to climate change, related to sustainability, related to making the world a better place, and to making Harvard a better place as well in terms of sustainability and climate change.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see that investment, made where all the parts of Harvard that are working on this can coalesce and do more together. It's really, really exciting. So thank you for sharing that. Connie, getting back to, kind of your challenges, is there a way, that you can recommend to others? How do you make that challenge real, kind of in your work, your PR, your fundraising? How do you bring those challenges to life? Like, are you making a human-centered approach to your fundraising, or how are you do you bring testimonials? Do you bring the faces? What do you do to like really register, the intense need of those kids?
Absolutely. So we're in the relationship business, and whether that is fundraising, or whether it is, the challenge really is to recruit more volunteer mentors. And so to really explain that there is no single definition of the word mentor. We often use coach or friend, but basically a mentor helps you think about yourself in a different way. And our mentors often say that they end up thinking about themselves differently too. Mentor means something different at every stage of the child's development. What they're looking for, what that relationship is supported as differs as the child grows. But, at the core of it is relationships, that relationships are the key to unlocking potential. And I believe that fundraising is all about unlocking potential as well. For me, money is stored energy. And when you speak with a donor about what their intentions are for how they use their stored potential, they feel good when that energy is released into the world, right? And to support children to become more independent, to recognize the inherent spark and potential that is within all of us. That's something that donors can really hold on to. And when potential volunteers understand what the commitment really is, it's an hour a week. That's doable, and it makes a lifelong relationship and a fundamental change in both parties. So I just think it's an incredible organization. It's not rocket science, but the power that each of us has within each other to affect other people is just enormous. And that's why I'm in this business.
And if you allow me to jump in, Connie, what you're saying is really, really important, because sometimes when we think of development, when we think of supporting, we believe we are talking about financial resources. And you're clearly saying that you can be a donor of your time, and that's really valuable. And as you said, giving 1 hour a week, giving 2 hours a week really matters. And sometimes that matters even more than providing financial resources. There are people who are willing to do that, who have the resources to do it. And that's amazing. That's really great, because some of these initiatives really need financial resources to move forward. But giving your time, giving an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours of your time a week, it's really, really important to make sure that things really happen. Otherwise, you stay with the resources, the financial resources, and there isn't anybody that really implements the initiatives. And that's really, really important to consider.
Absolutely. I mean, Connie, that'll be in my mind forever, and I may quote you that money is stored energy. That is just such an awesome lens, because the power of that money can be amplified just tremendously where you choose to make an impact. It's amazing.
But, most people think of fundraising as, I did this in band in high school where I sold wrapping paper door to door. And it was like begging people to do a favor. That's really not what fundraising is like in most organizations. Whether it is a $35 gift or a $35,000 gift or a $35 million gift, the exercise of thinking about how did I come to the place that I'm in and how can I give back to make the world a better place is just a magical thing to be involved in as a fundraiser. I think, again, it goes back to being in a relationship business. And when you have CEO on your business card or director of development on your business card, people know why you're there. And they want to hear about what you have to say and how it might match their interests. And really for a CEO or a fundraiser, you know this, Jill, it's about what we listen to and how we might match their interests and how they might fulfill their wishes for how they can put their money to work in a different way. There are so many entrepreneurial nonprofits out there as well. Really, when we look at any existing problem in society that nonprofits are trying to address, there's no one nonprofit or one governmental agency or one mega donor who is going to solve it all. And so again, it goes back to the creativity that is in our sector and how we execute against those goals.
I love that. Yeah. And I think, all of our work can seem overwhelming, the needs of a population in India that is underserved, or, all of the threats of climate change and its implications. I mean, it can feel overwhelming, but I think, making an action that is creative and innovative, it's contributing and helping move the narrative forward. Santiago, big lens. Where is your action plan around sustainability or coalescing folks that are in the community today in sustainability? Do you have your next steps in mind for things that you endeavor to do to move that needle forward? I know you mentioned another ALM. I think that would be logical and wonderful. So I hope you do that. But what's next on your agenda?
Well, I think there are many paths that I still have to follow related to sustainability. I think I like to think about it in different levels. Obviously, I like to work very closely with my communities. And when I say my communities, I am thinking about the people I work with in my office. I am thinking about the people in my neighborhood. I'm thinking about the people in my city, in my state, in my country, and obviously with my Harvard community, not only in my country, but Harvard has given me the opportunity to have a global community and a global vision. As an elected director, I have the opportunity to support initiatives that are not only in my country, that are not only in Latin America, but also in Africa, in Europe, in Southeast Asia, and all over the world. So I think that developing different initiatives, it's something really important. We've been thinking of developing a Harvard Sustainability Day. That's something that we have in mind, and Jill and the rest of the team at the Extension School and the Harvard Extension School Alumni Board have been also considering to develop as one of the initiatives from our school for the rest of our communities. As you all know, the Extension School is all over the world, and we have a lot of people that are really interested in supporting sustainability. So we might have something related to that, bringing entrepreneurs, bringing academics, bringing experts together in the sustainability field areas and have something to share. I'm also involved in these endeavors at the global level. I have been attending the COP in different capacities as a negotiator, as part of a delegation of my country, as a panelist. And I guess that supporting these initiatives is also another way in which I plan to continue working in the sustainability arena. And as I mentioned before, HEAA has become something we never thought it was going to be as great as it is. We want more alumni to join. We want more people to be really active in sustainability and climate change, and having the opportunity to give back to their communities. We were used to have the opportunity to become Harvard alumni, and we were used to give back just among our alumni community. This has changed. It's something that the new the latest alumni boards have tried to do for the past few years. And we just don't want to give back to the alumni community. We want to give back to our communities where we have the opportunity to have an impact. And as I said, when I mentioned the book that we just launched yesterday, we want to have the opportunity for people that see Harvard very far from their lives to become closer, to make sure that there are opportunities to become part of Harvard, and that if they really want to, they can join in different ways.
That's great. There's limitless opportunities to leverage the Harvard community globally to foster big change. So thank you so much for that. Now I just want to kind of reflect on chat for a moment. There's a lot of great activity. Thank you to all of you who are sharing the stories of your work. It's incredible. I know we've got fellow fundraisers on here, Connie. We have people imagining very big change and impacting the world in just profound ways. So we will have a record of chat for those of you panelists who haven't been able to get to it. It's hard to talk and to read at the same time, but it's so wonderful. I wonder, does anyone wish to ask a question directly of our panelists? Because we don't want to neglect any of the questions that may have come up before we move on to inviting all of you to raise your virtual hand and tell us a little bit about the work that you're doing. Any questions?
Well, people are actually raising their hand. I would like to ask Sunita, because she has done amazing things related to information technology, and sometimes this is really abstract and it's hard to understand, but she has really worked very hard in terms of bringing communities together using information technology. So I don't think she has said much about that, and we know that she has done a lot. So if you want to share some of that, Sunita.
Yes, so thank you, Santiago. I use a lot of information technology. In fact, for my paper, I published one paper on assistive technology, and that gave a lot of solutions to the government of India of how we should move forward to overcome these problems of wheelchair accessibility. Recently, even with the coronavirus crisis, I reached out, I had studied crisis management and emergency preparedness at Harvard Extension School. I reached out to Professor Howard because SARS was a case study, and I asked how I can help India. So he guided me, and I posted around 15 appeals to the government of India and to 1.4 billion Indians of what we should do way back in March 2020. After that, I've also been using, as being the first generation college going student, I have been encouraging a lot of underprivileged first generation college going students to apply for a free course at Harvard. And 11 of my students have got accepted. In all different manners, I have used information technology. I have been trying to connect from across the globe to Harvard, and I'm trying to encourage, and I'm trying to give back in different ways. The intent is just to serve. Every course that I've taken, crisis management is with the intent to serve. I did a course called Development Communication with Professor Frank White. That was to help, I'd helped a school for special children. I built their website for free. I also created in Second Life with using avatars, a project to raise awareness. Basically, raising awareness to a problem highlights the problem, and we don't do the changes, but it creates awareness, and people with powers up in the ministries, they start doing the change. That's what I feel. The power of IT is amazing. The power of Twitter is amazing. Instagram, all the social media is amazing to get awareness to the problems that we are facing. So I believe that it is helpful, especially being with the director of marketing with Jill. I keep bringing up awareness issues.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Sunita. And yeah, there's just, I mean, it's only really the limits of our imagination where technology is it's just incredible. And thank you for sharing the work that you did in class that was enabling the country of India to address so many big challenges. It's amazing. I mean, it really, how much one skill in a class can translate into a solution for the world. I mean, it really, there's no way to understate the value of, or overstate the value of education. It's incredible. So thanks for that. Anything else from our audience before our questions before we get into hearing from others? I know so many of you on the line are doing great work. Thanks to everything that's gone into chat. My gosh, the work in Rwanda really touched me. I studied human rights here at Harvard, and Rwanda particularly in that genocide. So thank you for that beautiful reflection. Let's see, we've got hands raising already. So I say we jump right in. I see Nancy, if you would like to unmute and tell us about yourself. Love that.
I think I did. Hi, I am an ALB of 24, coming up. I'm also a nurse at Mass General Brigham, and I have an evidence-based project that I am trying to bring to fruition, which will essentially be to eliminate the exam table paper from use, because there really does not serve any purpose for it as far as infection control, et cetera. But I'm having a very hard time trying to figure out how to connect with somebody who can actually tell me how much money would be saved and how many trees would be saved if we stopped using it. And I've tried extensively to reach out to the companies themselves that sell it. I've tried to reach out to environmental agencies, and I've just not gotten anywhere. And I think it's an important piece.
That's fascinating because it has, such wide implications for healthcare, for sustainability. I think, generally what come to my mind is, is there data available, from any of the health agencies, from the World Health Organization, or from any of the sort of task force related to health? That is such an interesting thought on the paper in an exam room and how wasteful that can be. I mean, that's a really interesting lens. I mean, within Harvard, there's a way, to actionize, but Connie.
Yeah, so my suggestion would be to engage with the forensic economist. They are often engaged in court cases, and there may be someone who, feels this is important and would do pro bono work for you. But that is, I think, one area to investigate. Jill, you're muted.
Sorry about that. We are going to keep these connections alive that are even here today. So as we work together and endeavor to move forward, we have to keep communicating and finding ideas and connections that can help solve these challenges. Thank you so much, Nancy, and good luck with that ALB. Connie and I have both been there. It's a lot of work. It's great. Yeah. Wonderful degree. So enjoy every minute of these last years.
Yes, thank you.
Malene Fisher, hello, my dear. We know.
How are you? Yes, ma'am. It's so good to see you, and so good to see you on the other side, because I'm actually a very freshly baked ALM degree, alumni now. It feels weird to say it, and so I just wanted to venture right into, getting connected with the Alumni Association, as Jill mentioned, we did work together a little bit for the Harvard Extension Student Association. And so I've always been involved with a bunch of nonprofits. I actually have a rare lung condition that I, was involved with for all my life. But the exciting thing that I connected with Harvard was actually last year, we started this beautiful connection with the Harvard Square Homeless Shelter and the Philip Brooks House Association, where we started these drives with the government, the student government. And whenever I get the opportunity, even though I'm not, on that board anymore, not even a student, is to just kind of drag everybody's attention to that. If you see that pop up in your email eventually or something of that sort, we've really been super successful in getting them all types of items that they needed. It was going on this year again as well. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful cause. Also just giving back to, a different type of Harvard community, but still a Harvard community. And so I'm just really excited that we were able to do that. And now I was actually informed that on that board, we were able to ratify officially a public and community service director position, which I'm super, super excited about because that was one of my big goals while I was there to kind of establish that. And I'm just super happy to see how much entrepreneurial and nonprofit spirit and charitable spirit there is at Harvard, and I'm just super glad to have been and continue to be part of that family. So lovely to meet all of you.
Lovely, Malene. Thank you. That is a great organization, a great cause, that Philip Brooks House. We did share the campaign to raise supplies and funds according to their wish list on Amazon. We shared it by email, and it'll be in our upcoming newsletter. So hang tight for that. You can find that also on social media if you follow the HEAA channel. So it's a wonderful thing. Looks like Elsa, am I pronouncing your name correctly? You're up.
Yes, it's Else, just like what else or who else. Thank you.
All right. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you. So I'm Else Cole. I graduated with my ALB in 2020 and my ALM in 2021. So I'm a fresh grad, even though I'm an older grad. So I had my original career was in radiology. I was an X-ray technologist and then ultrasound technologist. And in 2005, I embarked on an entrepreneurial journey where I went and tried to kind of solve some healthcare issues that I saw where patients were not being met where they were. Everyone was being brought to the hospital to get services done, and it wasn't really the most efficient way to deliver the healthcare. And it definitely wasn't good for these patients. These were nursing home patients, and they were spending 8 hours to get a 30-minute test done just because of the system. So I didn't know I was an entrepreneur. I exited, traditional healthcare and started my own company. And I will tell you, though, I am for-profit, although the big joke is the last 2 years are the first time my company's been profitable since 2005 up until now. So I should have, in hindsight, I didn't know anything about business, and I didn't know that I should have probably started as a not-for-profit. But in the meantime, along my journey and through school, I have been exposed to more and more situations of health inequity. One in particular is breast cancer screening. So being a radiology by nature, I actually had an insurance company reach out to me because I do everything mobile and in the patient's footprint. And breast cancer screening became a real issue during the pandemic. Many breast cancer centers shut down, and 1 in 8 women will be affected. And when they shut down, the opportunity to get their screening, it pretty much put everybody behind 1 year to 2 years, and that can really have a negative impact. But what I learned also is there are many women who just have never had access to screening. So I started another arm of my business where I do at-home mammography. We still have to get people out into our vehicle. So it's a very small vehicle. It looks like an Amazon truck. It's not like a big RV like you might see in parking lots. So it's very mobile. It can go up to the doorstep. It has a lift for anybody. We take care of people that are double amputees. So people can either walk onto it or get brought in via a wheelchair. But I was just curious if anybody knew how I could maybe entertain the idea of creating an arm that is not for profit, because this isn't about trying to make money doing it. It's about just delivering access. I happen to grow up in a small island in Alaska, and I know there are many tribal communities throughout the Aleutian chain and other parts of even Southeast Alaska that don't have access to healthcare. And so I was kind of envisioning, how do I put something like that on a ferry and get it out to, women who don't have access, or even here in the United States, like on the mainland, I'm sure there are many native lands that don't have people maybe bringing this type of service to them. So I was just hoping to maybe make a connection with somebody who knew how I could take what I've created and get it to more people who are suffering from inequity, and hopefully have an impact on catching something early enough to change the outcome, or even change the process of the outcome. So that's what I was here for. So I'm sorry that I am a for-profit. I was feeling guilty the whole time you guys were talking. I'm like, oh my gosh, I might not be in the right room right now, but maybe someone can help me, in the future where to go to be not-for-profit. So thank you.
So I can jump in and say that I can help you make some connections. Have you considered a for-benefit corporation or a B Corp as a potential?
I have not. No,
that's
thank
something
you.
to
That
look
sounds
into.
great.
There's venture money behind that, rather than going the nonprofit route. If you do want to start a nonprofit route, you might also want to consider earned income, not just fundraising. So I'm happy to speak with you afterwards if you're interested.
Absolutely, thank you. Yes, and anybody that's interested, I mean, it never hurts to make a connection. So I would love to hear.
If you ever decide to come to India, I'll also help you out here, connect you to people with your cause.
Wonderful, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. And good luck. I mean, it goes to, I guess maybe without saying, we love to share the work that you're doing and help raise support for all of your good work. So if you would love us to amplify, to share on social media, to put in a newsletter, we want to do that. So if you can connect with us, obviously you all get our emails, so you can write back to that email if that's easy. Otherwise, email us at alumni@extension.harvard.edu so that we can, help you share this within the Harvard community in particular, because there's so much shared expertise. Thank you, Connie, for that. And we'll move on to, is it Simeon?
Yes, that is correct. So I thought it was very interesting hearing what you're doing else, especially that it's for-profit, because I am also working on some for-profit things, specifically the Chronicler, which was something kind of conceived by Christina and I, and then working with our team. A lot of us had a lot of business experience and working with younger children, and something we had identified was there was a lot of stress with work-life balance. So we wanted to develop tools to enable those students to promote work-life balance, and that's what came through with the Chronicler. So hopefully if people get a chance, you can read all about it on our LinkedIn newsletter. However, I did want to say in regards to something that else was doing and something that we're doing, something that I appreciated when I went to Harvard was taking a course in lifestyle medicine. And so much of the direction of healthcare is lifestyle medicine, and really influences things like cancer and those things. So if you are doing something in healthcare, one of the organizations that I recently got involved with is the Ironman, and they have reach in a lot of places like Hawaii and different islands like that. So it may be that, participating in those organizations, either as a volunteer or if you decide to do it for the health benefits for yourself, can, allow you to also find other people that have like minds to network your ideas, and hopefully your business and your nonprofit side will blossom.
Thank you for that. Yeah, no, that's really interesting. And it's again, like another lens, to kind of think about these issues and these causes. And that I totally agree with the lifestyle medicine. That's sort of a side jam of mine. So thank you for sharing that. Now, if anyone else would like to unmute and share before we officially wrap, we welcome you to do so. And while I wait for you to raise your hand, I'm going to specifically call out and thank members who are joining us, who are running Harvard clubs around the world and are running shared initiatives, shared interest groups at the HEAA, just spectacular. And I see all of you here. So if you wish to share any of the work that you do, I will just give you a formal shout out, carte blanche. But if you wish to unmute, feel free. Shelley's with us. Hello.
Hi, nice to meet you all. It's just so nice to be with this group of people. So thank you for organizing it. I wanted to share a little bit about what we're cooking up. I'm a recent ALM grad in global development practice. Thank you. And a colleague of mine, and my background is in human-centered design and education and innovation. And I'm connecting, a classmate of mine is in city planning and grant management, and we are developing a consultancy to support communities and organizations with building capacity for sustainability innovation. So that includes things like doing an assessment and having an idea of where they are right now, where they might want to focus, and then engaging their community and the people who will be most affected by their programs and approaches in helping to innovate and design sustainability solutions. So that's what we're at the beginning of doing. We've just are shaping up our offerings and starting building connections with communities where we both live. She's in South Carolina, I'm in Utah. But we would love to connect with anyone who, first of all, might have some feedback or insight for us around what we're offering, but also might be interested in participating and picking up a side project here and there to help build sustainability in our communities. We really feel like there's such a great opportunity to leverage the strength of a community to move us towards a more sustainable future. That's what we're doing.
I'd like to add in, I recently had a moment that I got a time to speak to the Prime Minister of India. And in that short time, I requested him to include environmental sustainability as a subject in every classroom. I hope he does that. I wouldn't know, but I did request him in that short period. That was my appeal to him.
Wonderful.
That's amazing, Sunita. That's amazing. No, we don't have much time, but I always like to remind everyone what I said at the beginning, that in order to give back, use your brain, use your hands, and use your heart.
Love that so much.
And Jill, please, can I just say something? My hand couldn't raise. So
oh, Nagazi, is that you?
Yes, thank you. It's just so exciting to join this group and listen to everything. And I want us to, my passion is on mental health. I'm a mental health advocate. And I'm also in the board of Harvard Alumni for Mental Health. And, we have expansive activities globally for Harvard alumni, the family and friends. So you guys can just Google Harvard Alumni for Mental Health and see what we do. We have events designed to lower the stigma around mental health, facilitate access to care, and through network, be able to also engage our alumni to make sure that wherever they are, they can actually get appropriate mental health access, especially in terms of, I'm the director of culture, diversity, and inclusion. And because, mental health, sometimes you can link it more closely to your community, and multiculturalism is the key. And we are also building an ambassador. That's my brainchild for that. We're building team of ambassadors from all over the world. So those ambassadors, what they will help us to do is to reach the Harvard Club all over the world, around different parts of the continent. It doesn't even matter where. We want them to be able to engage at the local level, because that will give us more access than what we're doing here. So please have that in mind. If any of you want to be a member of, join the ambassador group, that will really be great. If you know anybody within your club, within your area that will be interested in joining, because we really want to get the word out there. We are hurting, many of us are hurting. Many Harvard alumni, we're hurting. Our families are hurting. We really want to reach out and get as far as we can go. Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Nagazi. And, thanks for all that you do, for your community, for sharing that mental health awareness, and for all that you do for our community in Texas. It's just amazing. So, yeah, I think, going forward, I mentioned keeping this group together, keeping this group in connection. So we will share kind of follow up from this We will eventually share a link to the YouTube sustainability. It's being captioned, I'm sure, which is a time-consuming process. We will share that by email. We will also share a Google Drive. For anyone who would like to stay in touch, you can opt into that. If you wish not to opt in, you need not participate. But if you'd like to keep connected, perhaps you can leave your LinkedIn profile as well, which would be quite nice. So we will share that very soon. But in the meantime, please do stay in touch with us. Please do share your good work so we can help amplify it. I want to thank today's panelists in particular, Sunita, Santiago, Connie. You are just such inspirations, and I am forever indebted for what you do for both the Harvard Extension School and Harvard generally. It's just incredible. So thank you for sharing your inspiration and your advice to our community. And I can't say enough about how just incredibly accomplished and inspirational our community is. So again, the chat transcript was just stunning. So thank you all for your good work, and continue to work together and come back, leverage that Harvard community. And I hope we will all see each other soon. So with that, I wish you good health and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you.